One last thing. Let me say this. I was not too long ago just talking with a dear brother. I won't mention his name because if he ever runs for political office, they won't be able to use this recording against him. You know how they did with Jeremiah Wright and Barack Obama. I tell people in my congregation, if you're running for political office, it's going to be a problem. They will play my tapes, my CDs. At any rate, he talked about a study about the projects, housing projects, where people are living at the poverty line or below the poverty line. Let's get them housing. Let's get them a place to stay. After all, that's the least we can do. And it sounds very noble, but it was taken from a study of rats, R-A-T, rats, R-A-T-S. I guess I'll put the S on it since we're talking plural, but you get my point. The big mice. And it's taken from a study about rats, and rats being put into a concentrated place, a concentrated space, and with just enough food to go around when they started. Really didn't increase the amounts of food that was given, but still, food was there. And in that space, they're in close quarters, these rats began to multiply because, as you know, rubbing up against each other and pheromones and all those things are happening and hormones are going all over the place. They start having babies, and before you know it, they're multiplying. Well, the multiplying creates a problem of space. Now they're getting crowded, and the resources are getting smaller. You give 2 rats 1 sandwich, that's one thing. But if you give 30 rats 1 sandwich, that's going to be a problem. And so the resources are limited. And with limited resources and with the abundance of rats now in place, they begin to fight one another. They become agitated. They become territorial. They just can't take the being deprived. So they fight with survival skills for their own. They don't care who they have to bite for, but they need to be fed. And so they will fight. They will scrounge for it. After a while, they end up killing one another because there's not enough room. There's not enough resources. Just out of frustration, they're killing each other. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? If you can extract the resources and disenfranchise people, redline people, bring people into a certain area, if you can change the dynamics economically of these people and make them desperate, they'll start killing each other. They'll be making babies. They won't have any respect for each other. They'll use the N-word. They'll call their women, when we were growing up, we called the girls honeys. Now they call them a bunch of bees and whores. Before you know it, the whole pathology changes. The way that they think, the way that they receive information, the way they comprehend. Their experience, their depraved experience, becomes the premise of their meditations. They don't even realize it. And before you know it, you have an impoverished system in place where crime is high, education is low, jobs are scarce. Disenfranchisement works, y'all. It works. It works. Disenfranchisement works. It's extracting the finances from a community. It works. It works. Just read an article the other day coming out of Detroit, where the government of Detroit, I don't know who is the judges or the whoever's, say they have no constitutional duty to educate anyone. And you know they're earmarking low-income areas where the schools are. So they'll be closing down those schools because they're underfunding them. We had a governor here in Philadelphia, or in Pennsylvania. He's no longer governor now. But one of the first things he did when he got in office, and he ended up being a one-term governor, but one of the first things he ended up doing is underfunding the schools in Philadelphia. Disenfranchisement. My friends, I'm telling you, it's economics, economics, economics. We got to get out of the rat race. Have a most excellent day.